Good evening there, everybody. Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, of course, I thought that I would give my little fight prediction and my fight breakdown of the boxing comeback, of course, that ended up happening today between Mr. Vasily Lomachenko and the undefeated prospect, I believe. I don't know, I don't remember if he was Dominican or Puerto Rican, but of course, he's from the US of A, so it may not matter that much. But of course, for those of you that did not overall end up hearing the news, Mr. Vasily Lomachenko did end up receiving a unanimous decision victory over that of the undefeated and very talented Jamaine Ortiz. And I predicted personally Vasyl Lomachenko to win this fight by unanimous decision. I ended up pretty much being correct within that category. However, this fight was a lot more competitive than overall what I thought, it was going to be. Not saying that, in my opinion, that it didn't have the potential at all to be a 7 rounds to 5 fight or a fight that was very, very particularly close. And there's probably certain people that maybe believe that Lomachenko lost this fight. In my opinion, he did not. And of course, the majority of the channels or the people that are saying that Lomachenko lost this fight, let's be real, we all know their motivations. It just is what it is. I think that way too many people in boxing or sports in general, they pander way too much according to race. And I get it to a degree. Sometimes boxing, all in all, when it comes down to it, they very much, whether you're talking about ESPN or Ring Magazine or whatever it may be, a lot of the times they can pander according to race as well. But if you're a person, especially a commentator, that clearly scores fights overall in a way to where you can clearly see that you're more than likely cheering for the other guy, you more than likely overall probably do not have any room to mainly be scoring a fight or to be commentating on boxing in general. Now, that being said, this was a very decently competitive fight, but I don't think that you can really argue, in my opinion, that Jamaine Ortiz won the fight. I thought that it was a very decently competitive fight, and I thought that maybe overall as a max for Jamaine Ortiz, maybe you could argue this as a draw. Now, of course, the three scorecards within the fight, of course, for Vasyl Lomachenko, I believe that one of the scorecards was 7 rounds to 5. That is personally exactly what I scored it. Another scorecard, I believe, was 8 rounds to 4, and another one was 9 rounds to 3. In my opinion, 7 rounds to 5 was the perfect score. I can maybe potentially see an 8 rounds to 4 scorecard, maybe, but to really be honest with you, I was really not overtly impressed with Vasyl Lomachenko's performance within this fight. It just is what it is. And I said all in all a little bit, because of course it looks like they're trying to set up the Devin Haney versus Vasyl Lomachenko fight. I stated all in all that, in my opinion, at least the Lomachenko that I see, I just do not believe that he would beat Devin Haney. And did my mind change after this fight? No, not at all. In fact, if anything, I would give Lomachenko probably even less of a chance to beat Devin Haney overall than what I once originally gave him. I think before I gave Lomachenko probably about a 30% chance to beat Devin Haney, maybe a 40% chance if he could come back and show, great amount of rhythm. And he did show a great amount of rhythm. I thought that his movement and his defense was still outstanding within his fight. He is a very all around skilled boxer. But there also was certain things, in my opinion, that Lomachenko could have done within this fight. And who knows, it could have maybe just been that he's been out for a year. It also could be that he's 34 years old and getting a little bit older. It could be that, it was his former sparring partner and he was out for almost a damn year or about, over 10 months. All that is understandable, but really when it needs to be addressed, some of the faults that I seen from Vasyl Lomachenko within the Teofimo Lopez fight, I seen within the exact same fight here. I thought that he started off way, 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 way too slow. Now, maybe some people overall may think that that overall was to his advantage because he pumped it up a little bit more within the second half of the fight. And you can maybe argue that. But with this fight, all in all, basically being the tune up and him fighting someone that more than likely is a Devin Haney type of clone and Jamaine Ortiz, do I think that starting off that slow against Devin Haney is going to work? No, I don't. Because Devin Haney, in my opinion, he's going to go the full throttle all 12 rounds. And what Devin Haney has shown me in those two George Kambosos fights, now, of course, George, in my opinion, really didn't push Devin Haney to his limit because George, in my opinion, never was really a true 100% A-grade fighter, or at least not an A-plus fighter. It just is what it is. But anyways, when it comes down to it, do I believe that Lomachenko, that he's going to fight Devin Haney like this and beat him in this type of style? No. It just is what it is. And there's certain times to where I seen Lomachenko within this fight to where I said, in my view, there were certain things that he could have taken advantage of, but that he did not end up doing. Now, Lomachenko, in my view, once again, ended up winning the fight 7 rounds to 5. And you're going to see certain channels, of course, like an Ego or some of these other LDBC new media channels, let's be real. It just is what it is. And they're going to say, well, I thought Lomachenko won the fight. Right, but we all know that they were going to score whatever rounds that they could for Jamaine Ortiz because they never liked Lomachenko in the first place. And that's why I say most people overall really don't have business scoring a fight or even really commentating about boxing or the sport that they want to talk about in the first place. Because most people really don't know how to score a fight worth of shit. It just is what it is. But once again, I get it. The fight was competitive. I don't think that it was competitive to the point to where Jamaine Ortiz arguably won overall because I think Lomachenko was so dominant within the championship rounds. I thought that he very clearly and dominantly won those last 4 rounds within the fight. But once again, do I believe that this Lomachenko will beat Devin Haney? No, I don't. Not only do I believe that it looks like he is aging to a slight degree, but on top of that, when it comes down to it, I just don't think overall, even though he has certain things that I think would provide Devin Haney with some trouble with his defense and with his movement and with his counterpunching ability on the front foot, there's certain things, in my opinion, that he still could have taken advantage of with Ortiz here that he just didn't do. I did not think that he was very good on the inside. He let Jamaine Ortiz bully him around a lot of the times. Now, once again, when it came down to it, that could have been just because Lomachenko said, well, I don't really have the stamina overall. I'm not in the same boxing condition that I usually am when it comes down to it because I've been out for pretty much a year. So I need to slow down a little bit here, and I'm overall going to have to adjust to him as the fight goes along. It could have just been like that, and who knows, maybe a better version of Lomachenko will show up if he does fight that of a Devin Haney. Do I think that's personally going to happen? No, because I seen the same thing overall within the Teofimo Lopez fight, and it's just very clear that Lomachenko that he has a very big problem with A-grade level boxers or boxers that all in all that are willing to exchange with him a little bit and fighters that tend to have a little bit of reach and height over him. It just is what it is, but which is what you expect. But the problem is that if you're facing Devin Haney, you're talking about a guy that has about a 6 to 7 inch reach advantage over you, and a guy that is not going to quit, that is not going to give up, and is going to give you the full throttle and constantly stick his jab within your face. And Lomachenko, once again, in my opinion, he's a very greatly talented boxer. And a lot of people are going to disagree with what I'm about to say here. But we really need to start to talk about whether Vasyl Lomachenko's boxing IQ, or at least overall in certain standards, it's not that he does not have a high boxing IQ, he does. But with certain things, all in all, that I've seen within this fight, we really need to start wondering, is his boxing IQ really as high as what certain people overall allege? It just is what it is. Because when I take a look at this fight, there were certain times to where Lomachenko, in my opinion, when he was backing up, he was moving so out of range and it was very unnecessary. There's certain times to where it is necessary overall, especially as the shorter fighter, to move out of range. And I get overall the thought process. But when Jamaine Ortiz was coming in and sometimes not really moving back, I really don't understand overall why he would try to completely move out of range because Jamaine Ortiz is going to have the reach advantage over you. And then by the time that you really overall try to come back in, then that's going to give him room overall to back up and really get out of range. So I don't really understand why Lomachenko was doing that, while instead, not me saying once again that overall that maybe is not a good idea to do here and there. But he did it way too much, and he could have caught him with so many more inside counters all in all had he really set him up and set him up with certain traps. And I've seen him do it overall with other fighters. Maybe overall it was just Jamaine Ortiz's speed, and maybe all in all Lomachenko just didn't bite in it for some reason. But he's going to have to do that against Devin Haney. Because if he thinks that he's going to fight Devin Haney the way that he fought Jamaine Ortiz and win that fight, he is very, very sorely mistaken. Very sorely mistaken. He's going to have to get in there and rough Devin Haney up the whole entire time. And a lot of the times when he moves back, he's going to have to stay in Devin Haney's mid-range. He cannot get out of range as widely as what he did overall against Jamaine Ortiz because that's not going to work. That's not going to work. The guy overall is going to have a several inch reach advantage over you, and that's going to give Devin Haney the opportunity to potentially go to your body and overall set up a punch and then move out of range. So basically you have to set up overall your counters and try to cut him off over again. And overall certain fighters, and Lomachenko is a master at cutting off the ring to a degree, but there were certain things, in my opinion, within this fight that he could have done better. Once again, had you backed up, overall moved out of the way of a certain punch that Jamaine Ortiz was about to throw, you could have potentially overall set him up for another counter by going on the inside. But this was the same fault, all in all, that I also seen from Lomachenko against Teofimo Lopez. Now, his defense and movement, once again, is very, very good. But in order to beat Devin Haney, you're going to have to exchange with him a little bit more. And Lomachenko, once again, he also started off very, very slow within this fight. He cannot afford to do that against someone like Devin Haney. It just is what it is. But, it could potentially be that he's a little bit aged. It could have maybe been because Jamaine Ortiz was his former sparring partner. It could have been overall because, Jamaine Ortiz overall was a decently slick fighter, maybe better than what we all thought. But in my opinion, Lomachenko should have done a little bit better within this fight. Maybe not even a little bit better, but a decent amount better. It just is what it is. But once again, do I think that Lomachenko, in my opinion, would I favor Lomachenko to beat Devin Haney? No. And to be quite honest with you, I would maybe give him a 20% chance over Devin Haney. And to be quite honest with you, at this point, that's being generous. It just is what it is. Not only do I think that Devin Haney is decently bigger than Vasyl Lomachenko, but overall, Devin Haney, in my opinion, once again, he knows how to throw for the majority of the fight. That's one thing that I'll give Devin Haney. Now, maybe if Lomachenko has enough stamina and if he can truly give it his all and if he's able to start off very, very strong, maybe he can show some of Devin Haney's defensive deficiencies because sometimes he does not keep his hands up when he needs to and he doesn't move quite as well as what Lomachenko does. But if he fights him the exact same way as what he did with Jamaine Ortiz, he's not going to win that fight. He's not going to win that fight. He has to be within his grill. He has to be much better within the clinch than what he was in this fight. He allowed himself to get bullied a lot of the times throughout this fight. Now, he did bully Jamaine Ortiz within the final 4 rounds and the latter part of the fight, so maybe that was a part of his tactic. I don't really know. Because, of course, when you're in the ring with larger fighters and you can feel their power and you can overall feel their movements and feel their dimensions, it's a little bit tiring than what you would fighting a smaller fighter. So, overall, that could definitely be a part of it. But once again, Lomachenko's really going to have to train his ass off in order to defeat a Devin Haney. He's just going to have to do it. And his performance is going to have to be a decent amount better than this. He's going to have to stay within his range. He's going to have to cut off the ring the whole entire time. You are going to have to move in and out of range like what you did. But a lot of the times, you're going to have to stay a little bit closer overall than what you actually were. So it is what it is, at least in certain, dimensions. But we'll see what happens. But anyways, that's really overall about it for today. Congratulations to Mr. Vasyl Lomachenko. I do not see him personally, in my opinion, beating a Devin Haney, but we'll see what happens. It will be a very interesting fight to see anyway. I would probably prefer to see Lomachenko versus Shakur Stevenson. And to be quite honest with you, after Lomachenko's performance after this fight, I'm not really even 100% sure if I would favor him in that one. But it is what it is. Anyways, that's all about it for today. But congratulations to Mr. Vasyl Lomachenko. We will see overall what he ends up doing. And it's going to be very interesting. But anyways, that's all about it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you all later.